operations in Brunei. But we start with a follow-up to last Sunday when we heard from Royal Navy psychiatrist Surgeon Captain Morgan O'Connell on post-traumatic stress disorder. This week I met up with the founder of Talking to Minds, Bob Paxman. This charity is made up of volunteer veterans helping each other, whether serving or former members of the forces who are suffering from PTSD. Bob suffered after many years in hostile environments with the Special Forces. Talking to Minds relies on talking, listening and counselling over a cuppa and getting to the root cause of the problem, but without revisiting the trauma.
Well, avoiding the elephant in the room is actually key to what we're doing, because the medical model, the therapies that are out there generally go to re-traumatise people because they are trauma-focused. Now, what we're doing is we're looking at the autobiographical memory, and we're going back before the reminiscence bump, which is the collection of memories between the ages generally of 8 and 35. So we're going back to the childhood amnesia phase, which is between 1 and 8. Now, what we're finding is with our program, by looking at the root cause of the problem between the ages of 1 and 8, we're generally finding that around about the age of 5, by reframing the, if you like, the very first emotion, negative emotion that was formed, by reframing that at the root cause, which is before any significant trauma that happened during the reminiscence bump, then the flashbulb memory is actually brought back into the reminiscence bump, so that the nightmares and flashbacks disappear. Our program has been designed specifically to address the root cause and reframe it at the root cause.
And you've had considerable help from various medical experts at universities. I mean, what did they say to you about this fresh approach?
There's generally, the medical fraternity is split. Those that are desperately, if you like, clinging on to the medical model, because that certainly gives a significant income for certain individuals. And then there are those that have a fresher minds to things through the psychosocial approaches. So we've got Kerry Daines, who is probably UK's leading forensic psychologist. She's peer reviewing and mentoring the team that are actually doing this study, the ongoing study into what we do, and the results that they are witnessing, the results that are being measured before, we take snapshot before, after the course, 6 months, 12 months, and then out to six years. We have got significant results that are showing long-term positive outcomes, and that's something that some of the other therapies out there are not providing.
Forces Life with Patrick Eade on BFBS, chatting to Bob Paxman, the founder of Talking to Minds, the charity established with the sole purpose of helping those suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, an important aspect of managing those with it is including the people nearest to them, because often they can experience what is known as secondary PTSD, or PTSD by proxy. Here's Bob again.
In many cases, the environment in which somebody lives, or in which somebody operates, has an impact upon their condition. In the early days of the charity, we were finding that the clients, some of them were going back into the environment from which they came, and the partner was turning around and saying, well, you're quite obviously not fixed. And the client was basically saying, well, yes, I am. So by the partner running their coping strategies, the negative coping strategies, which they were running whilst the client was still sick or still in a condition, when the client comes back and doesn't have that condition, some of the partners will still run that negative coping strategy. So it's very important for us to look at the holistic model, look at the partner, and reframe where necessary their coping strategy and help them install a new strategy, so that there's this synergy between the couple, so that they can then move forward together. Because the last thing that we would want, or the client would want, is to go back into the same environment and be, if you like, re-traumatised by their partner turning around and saying, well, you're not fixed. We believe that when the client goes back into their environment, they should be going back into an environment where they can continue to move forward. That's what we aim to do holistically, is get the whole family unit moving forward as one.
And it's interesting that you mention family, Bob, because I know that you know Dr. Morgan O'Connell, who was on Forces Life last week. And Dr. Morgan runs veteran support outreach at the Royal Maritime Club in Portsmouth, the first Wednesday of every month. And he was telling us on the programme that veterans that come to see him aged 25, 55, 85. And this might be something that somebody presents over an issue that happened years ago. It's never too late, and it is a sign of strength and not weakness that you do say, I think I've got a problem.
Absolutely. By stepping over the line and taking ownership of what's going on in your head and what's going on in your life, I think that's a significant move for anybody, and that is definitely a sign of strength. It's all very well to sit and put your head in the sand and continue to suffer in silence, but that's not benefiting the individual, certainly not benefiting the family members and friends, and it's certainly not benefiting society. By rolling out what we have into society and addressing this on a larger scale, we can actually be saving the government millions. We can be saving society in general a lot of the angst that's going on. Quite recently we've had a spate of suicides from young guys returning from Afghanistan and Iraq. We've also had a number of murders that have happened with people that have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I believe that as a nation we should be putting money into alternative approaches, looking at alternative approaches, and not just talking about it.
Bob Paxman at the charity Talking to Minds. More from Bob next Sunday on Forces Life, and if you'd like to find out more, in the meantime, check out talkingtominds.co.uk. On the way a little later,